Do you think that the West is? Yeah, I think you said, I can't remember whether you said it in Stranger to Europe or The Madness of Crowds, that the West is committing suicide. Do you think the West is committing suicide, or do you think the West is being murdered?
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, there are definitely people assaulting us, and we're definitely doing an assault on ourselves. I mean, to finish this point about the overcorrection issue, in terms of race, what is clearly happening is that we have agreed that past injustice carried out by white people, I mean, as if white people were the only people who carried out injustices in the past, but let's stick on the injustices that are now agreed to be the worst injustices in the world, which is white on black racism and the transatlantic slave trade and British colonialism. In order to make up for these things and any residual, hereditary harm, you need to carry out harm on people who look like the descendants of the people who did it. As I said, this is enormously selective. We don't do this as any other group of people. If you or I said we would like to go to North Africa and find the descendants of Barbary pirates who captured about 1.5 million Europeans from the southern shores of Europe and indeed from Britain, who sold them into slavery. If we said we're going to North Africa to find descendants of these people and be racist to them for a bit, you would say, what? How is that going to help anyone? Well, that's what's happening at the moment with white people. There's a perception that you can say and do anything about white people because the white people deserve it. They historically need it, and they should just suck it up. And I think these are all historical and moral catastrophes that we're allowing to go on. We wouldn't allow it with any minority group. Why a majority group would put up with it, I don't know. I do know, but we might get onto that. But it's deeply unfair. It's a wild thing to be living through. And the people who are doing it, as I say, they have a very clear aim, which is to cure past injustice by present day injustice. And you and I know that is an unbelievable mistake. But these are people, as I say in the opening of the book, these are people who talk about justice, but they really mean revenge. And that's what we're seeing. And that's where that sort of suicide self-harm analogy comes in. We're being handed the tools, and the question is whether we want to use them against ourselves endlessly or not. I say obviously not. Obviously not.
Absolutely, it would be an unbelievable detriment to our society to do it. But there are those driven to do it. Is that part of a broader malaise where we become so privileged in our way, as you said, in the book, I'm not going to be able to nip off to Kinshasa and become foreign minister in
yes. Exactly.
Or Bangladesh or China, and the flow of traffic is one way, to the point that where the West is uniquely, as far as ideas are concerned, it absorbs people from different areas and different cultures, and it celebrates them, and it uses the West uses them as through freedom of speech and through equality of opportunity, and through an actual deep and wonderful respect that the West in itself is flawed. As you said in your book, this is the only societal structure which is allowed to criticize itself in this level. So we are actually defending something which is genuinely progressive. We're not defending something which is white. We're defending something which is progressive, and then we can come on later to what the solutions were. But without diagnosing the problem, we're in real trouble, is what I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to understand the position we're at. And the position we're at is we are in this period of overcorrection to do with race and perceived historic wrongs. I say perceived because there is an apparent, to steel man rather than straw man, some of the people I'm criticizing. They seem to think, or at least their claim is, that the reason why we need to be in this period of overcorrection is because there are parts of our past that we haven't litigated, basically. That we haven't dealt with, racism, that we haven't dealt with slavery, haven't dealt with colonialism. That seems to be their position now. Is there something in it? Yes, there's always something in it. Could we know more about these things? Yes, obviously. Is it the case that we haven't ever dealt with them? No. I mean, this is the point at which I diverge. No. Britain dealt with slavery more than 200 years ago now. America actually dealt with it 2 centuries ago. Are there residual problems from that in America? I'd say yes, it's possible. It's possible. Does that explain all racial inequities in America in the year 2022? No. Should that misperception be applied to all other countries in the West? Clearly not. But this claim
it's very anti-Western to believe that inequity can't exist, because the entire point of meritocratic society is that if you work, the American dream is based upon it. If the harder you work, the more you can achieve.